If you love big old American iron, forgotten cruisers, and project cars that still have real stories to tell, you're in the right place. Today we're combing through Facebook Marketplace to bring you 10 classic finds that are all for sale right now. We've got a one-owner barn find, a genuine Studebaker Hawk loaded with rare parts, a nailhead-powered Bic, a slammed Cadillac, and even a wood-paneled wagon straight out of a road trip movie. Some run and drive beautifully, some need work, and every single one has character you just can't buy new. Let's get into it. Number 10. We kick things off in Medford, Minnesota, with a 1968 Ford Limited Brougham listed at $6,850, and this one is being offered through a dealership. This deep green two-door shows 138,211 miles on the odometer, runs an automatic transmission, and has a matching green interior. What really makes this listing stand out is its history. The seller says they got this car as a barn find directly from the original owner, and the vehicle is listed as a one-owner car that's paid off. Under the hood sits a 390 cubic inch V8 backed by that automatic. The seller describes the body as nice and the interior as great, which is exactly what you want to hear on a big luxury Ford from this era. They also mention some recent mechanical attention, including a new water pump and a fresh tune-up, and they say it runs and drives very good. This is the kind of full-size domestic coupe that used to rule American roads, with acres of chrome, a formal roofline, and enough presence to turn heads at any local show. For under $7,000, a solid one-owner barn find that runs and drives is a genuinely tempting way to get into the hobby. It's a strong, classy opener, but number 9 takes us to a smaller, sportier Ford with a very different personality. Number 9. Heading down to Augusta, Kansas, we find a 1968 Ford Falcon listed at $7,000. This yellow compact shows 117,920 miles, runs an automatic transmission, has a black interior, and importantly, comes with a clean title with no significant damage or problems noted. According to the seller, this is a Falcon Futura Sports Coupe, and it's a two-door with a vinyl top and the original inline 6-cylinder motor still under the hood. That originality is a big selling point for anyone who appreciates a car that hasn't been chopped up or swapped around. The seller is refreshingly honest about the condition. They say the car runs and the body is straight, but it does need a paint job, and there's some rust on the trunk. That's exactly the kind of straightforward description that builds trust with a buyer, because you know what you're getting into before you ever make the drive. The Falcon Futura is a great platform, lightweight, simple, and endlessly customizable, which is why so many people love turning them into weekend drivers or mild restomods. With that original 6-cylinder still in place and a clean title in hand, this one could go a lot of different directions depending on the builder. It's a straight, honest, original compact classic that's ready for the next chapter. That's a sharp little Ford, but number 8 is where we step into serious luxury with one of the most imposing sedans of the 60s. Number 8. Over in Topeka, Kansas, there's a 1963 Chrysler Imperial sedan 4-door listed at $6,500. This beige-on-beige land yacht shows 155,000 miles, runs an automatic transmission, is listed as paid off, and comes with a clean title. Now here's a detail worth pointing out. The listing title says 1963, but the seller's own description references a 1966 Chrysler Imperial Crown 4-door, so there may be a little confusion on the exact year, and that's something a serious buyer would absolutely want to confirm in person. Either way, the mechanical details in the description are appealing. The seller mentions a 413 V8, which works out to 6.8 liters, paired with a TorqueFlite 3-speed automatic transmission. That combination made these big Imperials smooth, powerful, and genuinely luxurious in their day. The Imperial was Chrysler's flagship, built to go head-to-head with Cadillac and Lincoln, and the styling reflects that ambition, with its formal lines, elegant chrome, and that unmistakable presence on the road. In beige over beige, this one has a classic, understated, executive look that fits the car perfectly. For $6,500, a big luxury flagship like this with a clean title is a lot of car for the money, whether you want a cruiser or a restoration project. Just be sure to verify that year before you commit. It's a majestic full-size classic, but number 7 completely changes the mood with a rare and desirable sports coupe. Number 7. In Lester Prairie, Minnesota, we've got a 1962 Studebaker Hawk GT listed at $8,000, and this one is a real treat for the enthusiasts out there. This black-on-black beauty shows 60,000 miles, runs a manual transmission, and has that sleek, distinctive Hawk profile that still looks fantastic more than 60 years later. According to the seller, this Studebaker GT Hawk was originally restored back in 1987. They say the car runs, stops, and drives, but it will need to have the assembly finished, so this is a project that's already well on its way rather than starting from scratch. And here's where it gets really exciting. The listing comes absolutely loaded with rare parts. The seller mentions it includes 2 new old stock doors, a set of new old stock 289 heads, a new old stock 289 crankshaft, a new old stock rear left fender, a new old stock right rear fiberglass fender, and 6+ totes of additional parts, all shown in the photos. For anyone who knows how hard Studebaker parts can be to track down, that collection alone represents serious value and could save a builder countless hours of hunting. The GT Hawk was Studebaker's stylish Grand Tourer, blending European-inspired looks with American muscle, and finding one with a manual transmission and a treasure trove of numbers parts is a rare opportunity. It's a genuinely special find for the right collector. That's a rolling parts jackpot, but number 6 brings us back to classic full-size moper territory. Number 6. Down in Salem, Illinois, there's a 1970 Plymouth Fury 3 listed at $6,000. This tan 4-door shows 81,300 miles, runs an automatic transmission, and has that clean, understated full-size Plymouth styling that so many people remember from the era. The seller describes it as all original and says it was kept in a barn, which helps explain why it presents so nicely in the photos. What stands out most about this listing is the impressive amount of fresh mechanical work. According to the seller, this Fury has a new distributor, new wires, new spark plugs, a new coil, a new starter, a new fuel pump, a new fuel tank, and a new fuel sending unit. That's a comprehensive list of the exact components that tend to give older cars trouble after sitting, so having them all replaced is a real confidence booster. The seller says it starts right up and runs and drives good. They're also honest about what needs attention, noting that the brakes work but the front driver's side needs to be looked at, adding that the brake lines are all good and it just needs a cylinder. On top of that, they describe the car and frame as solid, and it's powered by the dependable 318 engine. A solid, original, barn-kept full-size moper with this much fresh fuel and ignition work is a great candidate for a reliable weekend cruiser. It's an honest, well-sorted classic, but number 5 is a custom build with a serious power plant. Number 5. Over in Middlebury, Indiana, we find a 1963 Bic LeSabre Limited Sedan 4-door listed at $5,000, and this one has clearly had some custom love. This grey 4-door with a blue interior rides low and mean on a set of modern polished wheels, giving it a great restomod stance. It's listed as paid off with a clean title and no significant damage or problems noted. But the real story here is under the hood. The seller says this Bic is packing the legendary 401 nailhead big block, which is exactly the kind of torque-rich engine that made these old Bics such strong performers. Feeding that nailhead is a Holley 650 carburetor, a solid choice for reliable power. The seller is honest and easygoing about the drivetrain details, saying they're not sure exactly what the transmission is, but they know it's an aftermarket unit rather than the factory piece. That kind of straightforward honesty is appreciated, because it tells a buyer this is a driver-focused build rather than a numbers-matching restoration. With that lowered stance, those aggressive wheels, and the nailhead rumble, this LeSabre has real street presence and a personality all its own. It blends classic early 60s Bic elegance with a modern, sinister attitude that turns heads everywhere it goes. For $5,000, a big block custom cruiser that already looks this good is a lot of style and substance for the money. It's a slick custom, but number 4 is pure nostalgia on 4 wheels. Number 4. In West Liberty, Kentucky, there's a 1988 Chevrolet Caprice Classic Wagon 4-door listed at $3,500, and if you grew up in this era, this one's going to hit you right in the memories. This burgundy wagon with the classic wood grain paneling shows 88,000 miles, runs an automatic transmission, has a purple interior, and comes with a clean title with no significant damage or problems noted. The seller describes it as a nice survivor that runs and drives like an old car should, which is exactly the charm of these big rear-wheel drive wagons. They're honest about what it needs, mentioning a wiper motor, a tune-up, and some exhaust work, all very manageable items for a car at this price. On the plus side, the seller says there's no rust anywhere, which is a huge deal on a body style that often fell victim to the elements. Under the hood is a Pontiac V8, backed by what the seller describes as a universal 4-speed automatic transmission, and they note the car is unmolested under the hood. They also mention the air conditioning is complete but needs attention. These full-size Caprice wagons were the family haulers of their day, the true SUV of their time, and clean survivors are getting genuinely hard to find. With that wood grain trim, the wire wheel covers, and honest miles, this one has tons of retro appeal for a cruise night or a weekend road trip. It's a wonderful slice of 80s Americana, but number 3 drops the ground clearance and cranks up the attitude in a big way. Number 3. Heading to Crestline, Ohio, we've got a 1970 Cadillac Fleetwood sedan 4-door listed at $7,000, and this is a full-blown custom that demands attention. This grey Fleetwood is slammed to the pavement over a set of wide white-wool tyres, giving it that timeless low-rider elegance. It shows 50,000 miles on the odometer, runs an automatic transmission, and is listed as paid off. The seller is completely upfront about a few important details, which is exactly what you want. First, they note that this is a 1970 Cadillac Fleetwood Brougham and that it has an odometer discrepancy on the title, so that 50,000-mile figure should be treated with caution. Second, they describe extensive custom bodywork. According to the listing, everything has been shaved, including the door handles, with poppers installed on the front doors only, and everything that was shaved was filled with proper body filler. The seller describes the car as very solid for the year, which is high praise for a big Cadillac. They're also honest that it has no heat, no air conditioning, and they mention the windshield in the description as well. This kind of transparency helps a buyer know exactly what they're walking into. With those shaved lines, that dramatic low stance, and the sheer size of a Fleetwood, this Cadillac has serious custom scene credibility and a look you simply can't fake. It's a bold, head-turning build, but number 2 brings us back to clean, low mileage, full-size luxury. Number 2. Over in Lancaster, Texas, there's a 1971 Mercury Grand Marquis LSE sedan 4-door listed at $9,700, and this one is all about condition and low miles. This gorgeous blue 4-door shows just 29,000 miles on the odometer, runs an automatic transmission, and is listed as a 2-owner car that's paid off with a clean title and no significant damage or problems noted. That combination of genuinely low miles and clean history makes this one of the more collector-grade cars on our entire list. The Grand Marquis was Mercury's top-tier luxury offering, and in this LSE trim it came loaded with the kind of comfort and presence that made these cars feel like rolling living rooms. The seller focuses on the mechanical side in their description, saying the car drives good and highlighting some recent brake work. According to the listing, it has new brake calipers, a new brake booster, a new master cylinder, and a new dual setup, which suggests the seller has invested in making sure this big Mercury stops as confidently as it cruises. Fresh brakes are exactly the kind of safety-focused upgrade you want to see on a heavy full-size car like this. In that striking blue with a matching vinyl roof, this Grand Marquis has a clean, elegant, almost regal look that stands out beautifully in the photos. For under $10,000, a 2-owner, low-mile luxury classic with a clean title and fresh brakes is a genuinely attractive package. It's a stunning cruiser, but number 1 closes us out with a wagon that's built to make you smile. Number 1. We wrap things up in Lake Odessa, Michigan, with a 1979 Oldsmobile Custom Cruiser Wagon 4-door listed at $7,100, and the seller leans right into the fun with this one. This tan wagon shows 113,000 miles, runs an automatic transmission, has a matching tan interior, and comes with a clean title with no significant damage or problems noted. The seller playfully offers you the chance to be the next owner of the family truckster, affectionately nicknamed Sandy, and describes this 1979 custom cruiser as the SUV of its era. And honestly, that's a perfect description, because these big Oldsmobile wagons were the ultimate family haulers, built to swallow luggage, kids, and everything in between for the great American road trip. Loaded up in the photos with a roof rack full of vacation gear, this one absolutely nails that nostalgic vibe and looks ready for an adventure. It rides on a clean set of polished wheels that give it a sharp, finished appearance, and the tan-on-tan color combination is classic and easy to love. With honest miles, a clean title, and that unmistakable full-size wagon presence, this custom cruiser is the kind of car that starts conversations everywhere it goes. Whether you want a weekend cruiser, a showpiece, or a genuinely usable classic for family outings, this one checks a lot of boxes. It's a charming, fun, and character-packed way to close out our list. And that's our final find. From one-owner barn finds and rare Studebaker Hawks to slammed Cadillacs and wood-paneled wagons, these marketplace listings prove that interesting classic cars are still out there waiting for the right owner. The real question is, which one of these would you park in your garage?